I'm Saraid Taylor. This is the wonderful Mitch Brown. Welcome to Perceived Pressure. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Saraid, thanks for having me on.
No,
and I've been, when you asked me about this one, I've been really excited to come on. You've always been one. I think I've met you maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I feel like was it the start of last year?
Yeah,
it feels like it's been a while.
And I'd loved all the stuff you write, the poems. I'm talking you up here, but even just some of the, I don't know, like I've been excited to see what this conversation is going to be about because I don't know, I've done a lot of media as we've spoken about.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just, I don't know, like it's really important to keep talking about certain messages and reiterating it time over time. But there's certain things that I would love to talk about that I don't get to talk about. And hopefully I get to that.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're on that wavelength today that
Absolutely.
I might be able to do that. So
For sure.
I've been excited about this one.
Well, I'm excited too. Maybe we could start there because you spoke to the Daily Aus. That's how you came out. But then you sort of avoided traditional footy media. Was that a conscious decision? Is there something that footy media is missing?
Yeah, it's it's been a real conscious strategy, I guess. I've always been a big fan of this new style of media, whatever that is. Real balanced. Just got to be really careful when I'm like, because I just like to read the facts. I love when young people I love the minds of young people and how they see the world and they try and seek balance or even this even to a respect, this anti-authoritism. I think that's the word.
Yeah,
I said it right. But standing up to to what has been the norms for so long, I really admire that. So, with legacy media or this old style of footy media, I think it's always had a really strong place, but it's as equally as it has had a positive impact on especially the game of Aussie rules football. It can be quite harmful as well, especially now with these days when advertising money means the drive for clicks and to drive engagement, and it doesn't matter if that's through positivity or in fact, as we know, that through, I guess, being quite hateful or trying to strike rage drives more engagement, which means drives up the sponsorship dollars or whatever. And I'm not across it all, but for me, I had a clear strategy on this. It's something really precious around coming out.
Absolutely.
That can as equally be really brutal and it's so aggressive. Like the whole notion, if you really
think about it.
It's like, straight people don't have to really come out to their parents and say that, as a man, I sleep with a woman.
Imagine.
Yeah, I know. So it was really precious. And when you're being quite vulnerable, you want not only for someone or a news outlet or a journalist to do right by your story, tell your story how it comes out of your mouth, but also the care. When you go, and I speak really highly of the Daily Aus and Sam and Em Gillespie and all the ones that were there that day, that when I had the initial interview, just the care in the lead up, it all happened pretty quick. Right? Like it was like I reached out and I was in Italy and it's like we jumped on a plane back and literally jumped off the Melbourne airport and drove to the interview.
Yeah.
But the care that was had by all of those involved from the Daily Aus, these questions of like, hey Mitch, what's your biggest fear? How can we make you feel comfortable? Sam was from the Daily Aus was so amazing about, all right, let's start preparing about the reaction and protecting you and that aftercare in a sense. And it was so telling. And I guess it really showed in the interview. I honestly don't think the interview would have come across that way, or the way I told it, or I don't know, just a lot of people say, like, even just like Mitch, how you took that breath in and you said that, you know, I'm a bisexual man, then you just like breathed out and exhaled, and what we could see, what we could hear, and it was more than just the words. That wouldn't have happened with that care that, you know, the Daily Aus had, and I've had that on other areas as well. You know, the Imperfects podcast was one of those ones. It was really caring pre and post and during. It wasn't just like let's get Mitch on, let's tell his story and then grab him and then let's edit it and let's get it out quick as possible to get those engagements. And, you know, the ones that have had that mindset, I guess the interviews come across that way in a sense. And then, yeah, so there's been a clear strategy on who to speak to. And I get it that, especially when we're talking about safety, inclusion, and homophobia, in particular the men's sports or hypermasculine environments, the people that really need to listen to this, that we really need to get to, are probably not listening to these type of media. So I understand they're probably more listening to, you know, your more old type legacy, you know, primetime news on TV. So there is a place for me speaking up on those platforms, but you know, what's more important to me right now is, you know, how I can be relatable to people that it really does matter to. Young Australians, young people, queer young people, men that are in straight relationships that are in my situation, that may be married or not, that have these emotions of, you know, bisexuality or anything like that. And they're the people that I care about at the moment. And the more I can share on platforms that they listen to in a way that they can relate to is the only thing that matters. You know, there will be a time where I, you know, try and get my hands dirty and really speak to the people that are confronted by queerness, awkward by it, don't understand it. There will be a time where I can get to that. And there's been a lot of that.
I bet there has been already.
But, yeah, there's been a clear strategy, because you can quite easily get misrepresented because of that motivation to drive engagement. Yeah, it's been frustrating at times.
I bet, because a clear strategy you said, but are there still sort of situations you've found where you do feel a bit misrepresented? There are like misconceptions that you would want to clarify about yourself? A few, maybe one or two.
Where do we start? I should have made a checklist. But that's the thing, like, you can't, you know, when you're a politician or, you know, just anything, like, it's crazy. It's like you kind of, I had these conversations with, I don't know who had this conversation. Maybe Liana Black. I'm probably going to get this wrong. Liana's done a lot of work with the AFL, the Pride Alliance, and I was talking about, like, maybe I do accept that, you know, sometimes people are going to read something differently, and I've got to accept that I'm going to get a bit of hate and everything. And Liana was like, no, like, you actually don't have to accept that. And there's been times, and these are one of the things I like. I want to be able to really advocate and share, I guess, my story, but I want to get my hands dirty and create change. One of the areas, obviously, like within the men's locker room and the AFL men's program and everything like that, but there's another area in media, sports media, that I think that can have a huge impact.
Absolutely.
Around creating a safer environment for sports players around Australia. It doesn't matter if you're professional or not, but in particular, maybe for the next player to come out and speak openly, or, you know, to get drafted or whatever. I think the headlines, or, you know, being able to, you know, there's been times where I felt that early on, you know, there was a lot of misrepresentation around this angry bisexual man. Like the headlines, it'd be so interesting. Like, I would say something or I would do something, and then Lou, my partner, and I would do a headline scan, or I wouldn't try and go near it. Lou would do like a bit of a an article search to see what's the people are writing about it, just so we can be aware of everything and the contrast between, say, new media to old legacy media to, your typical Daily Mails or News.com. Like, we know the ones, but and then even just the ones that are like queer media and how they handle it, and it's the same story, but
the use of language is so different.
Yeah, even just the headline.
Intention,
The headline. So
the impression it leaves.
Yeah. I mean, there's, and I just say that like a lot of headlines wouldn't use my name. They'd just say bisexual man or bisexual sports player or, which is like, it's great. It's getting it out there. And, but I do feel like, it's the minorities that do stand up and I'll talk about this in a sec because it's been a real eye-opening for me because I've come from like this place of privilege all my entire life as a man, as a white man, as a football player and just everything. And then I've had it, I'm still privileged now. Don't get that wrong, but like I've had this insight into the other side. And seeing the difference of that and, how, it does affect everything you do and things like that. So anyway, there's been a lot of times where especially it could be just taken out of context, but it just like no one listens to the full story anymore. Like there's been so many, there's been like a podcast or even people close to me. I'm like, actually, have you listened
the entire thing?
Did you listen to it all? Like, this is where I explain that I don't speak for all queer people. And, this is where it happens when you take like little snippets and we scroll and go, oh, that's how Mitch thinks or that's how whatever. But it's like, if you listen to the whole thing, I just before I said that thing about a homophobia or that's a homophobic statement or behaviour, I do say I'm not speaking for the whole queer community, but then you only listen to that. So then even within the queer community go and you get all these comments say, well, you don't speak for me, Mitch. Well, I literally said that. Have you listened to the whole story? True. So, and I've learnt that as well. Like I put my hand up and, I'm guilty of like not listening to the full story or, will consume my media or messages from people, really important messages too, in bite-sized pieces and not listen to or have the commitment or care to listen to the whole story. So I've learnt that as well, like how that can, really change the whole narrative of the story or misrepresent you as well. So.
I feel like there's been more pushback in terms of trying to find nuance or have fuller perspectives, so especially when you talk about the movement away to some extent from legacy media towards younger people with their own sort of outlets. Do you see a world where we get closer to people taking a second, taking a breath before they make a snap judgment on what someone says and trying to understand more where they're coming from? Or is it the clicks will just rule us forever and it's a downward spiral? We've started the spiral and we're heading that way.
Yeah, I do see a world. I hope for a world like that. And I think that, like, don't get me wrong, like I'd love, like there's never been a better time to show yourself and your character and your words in social media and things like that. So if these media organisations, don't allow that care or that responsibility of looking after that person in a headline or how that headline may affect the wider community, then people that they want to hear from will end up just releasing stories on their own social media, which we're seeing more and more now. Like, big Swiftie fan, but we saw that that they released their engagement on their own socials, and there wasn't through PR. I'm sure there was people there, but like the use of your own media now, I think, and I've certainly been really conscious of that too. I was like, well, I've had opportunities to share things, but why don't I just share it on my own platform and build my own community? I have control of what I say.
Yeah.
I almost have, for some platforms that I've done it that I control, I have control over the comment section.
Yes.
Which is
Can moderate it.
so bloody important. And to be honest, that's one of the other areas that for anyone that shares a sense of vulnerability and for media or anyone like a sports club or anything to have like a priority around moderating that comment section because it does, like, people dive in, people see something and the first thing they do is dive into the comment section to get more context. And it can be quite harmful in itself. So I like, in terms of media, and like, they have a big part to play in creating a safe environment for that next player or the men's program because, it's one of the big barriers or enablers for that person to come out because, we hear it time and time, and I do believe this to a certain point, that it is safe within those four walls. Men's players, teammates will be so welcoming, so supportive, and there's been a lot of progress in that area. As a player, and I try and, put myself, back 9-10 years ago, if I'm sitting there, what are my most fears? It's probably, a point in my teammates, but it's more so around the public perception and the headlines and the media and how that is going to affect the fans that are going to watching me and maybe throwing some abuse or whatever at me. That's what I'm going to be thinking about it. So there is a huge role to play in representing someone the most with care and love and if they want more of this, then that's the way you got to go about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do they want more? Do they want more? Do you think? Do you think the AFL is doing everything it can?
Is
that too big a question?
No, I think, it's a really hard one to answer. They've got so many different stakeholders, and like, I hate like talking about like managing stakeholders and things like that.
But it is part of what they have to do. Like
I think
part of the conversation.
I think with the AFL, it's so unique here, and in Australia, it does. It hits every state and territory. There's obviously there's other states that doesn't go quite as far, but it's increasing, and people forget that compared to other sports around the world and sporting leagues, the AFL have control from the top right down to the grassroots, which is, it's
they
like,
have the sport.
Yeah.
Like, they've trademarked the sport itself.
They do. And so they actually have influence right from, my two little boys who are 5 and 3 to, the professional ranks to the fans. They've got like the touch points and control over their messaging, the way they influence, the way they can affect the community. So I've always, really challenged the notion when people are like, well, leave our sport alone, let's not get political, politics and sport don't mix. Well, hey, like, it's such an influential thing on so many levels and demographics. It's like, well, if you like it or not, it does. Like, it is political, and you can use it for so much good and to create a stance or to get messages out there. And, for me, it's like, let's not shy away from that. And I think, in some respects with the AFL, it's like there's been this shyness away from creating more controversy or anger from a lot of people, and maybe instead of focusing on the strength-based approach or the positivity a certain statement or anything can create, they may tend to focus on, I guess, the negativity and the hate that it will create. And we're like, well, we want this part, we want the positive, but we sort of don't want this part, so let's just not do it at all.
Yeah.
And I just think that's just, I strongly believe that's just not, in my opinion, that's not the right approach. It's and I'm not the first one to say this by any means. It's that saying, and I've said this multiple times, of the actions that you walk past are the actions you accept. And if you say nothing or you keep silent, which is like such an old school, but such a cliche strategy from a lot of organizations, sporting clubs, leagues, businesses around. Let's just no comment. Like, let's just like deal with this and let it blow over. And, but it just speaks so loudly. It's like that
Absolutely.
silence is so loud. And, what I feel it does now, especially on a real influential position like the AFL, HQ, or footy clubs, if you don't say something or like condemn something or just go, hey, let's stamp this out, what you are saying to a lot of people, that you accept it. And, you're never going to stop it, or in fact this acceptance of this behavior by saying nothing, it's just going to make it worse and worse and grow it. So, I think there's something, we talk about masculinity is thrown around a lot, and especially in and like this notion around being man is a strong leader and, standing up and being brave. And I just don't find any of those qualities in shutting up shop and saying nothing.
Absolutely.
Like if you want to show strength and, show like, I guess, power for some people who want that or whatever, stand up and say something, fight for something. And, just don't walk past it, which I've seen a lot lately. And, that's the reason why I continue to cop a lot of shit or hate. And that's what we tend to do here in Australia as well. Like anyone that speaks up
gets snipped down.
Yeah. It's like what I felt as well was like, I announced, I did the interview, everyone was like really happy. But because I kept talking and maybe kept going, right, let's have this conversation. Let's keep having this conversation around safety, inclusivity in sport, how we show up and how we allow others to show up. And I feel that, people didn't like that. They accept the initial like, hey, Mitch, we're happy for you. We love you. I'm okay with whoever you love. Like, but like, can you stop talking now? Can you get back in your box? And I could bring up so many other people and examples, not just in sport, that we do that with, and we go, no, we're accepting culture. We celebrated you, Mitch. Like,
yeah, we've done our bit.
Former CEO Andrew Dimitri goes, like, I think Mitch was well celebrated.
The problem is solved.
It's like, oh, and no, mate. Yeah. Like, it's so that's even itself, like, even with people like that, and it goes on with like misrepresenting. It's like, that's just harmful messaging. It's like, well, I've been so lucky in my coming out experience. It's been so positive, but we need to still say it's still not okay. And there's a lot of hate and homophobia that does exist. And I've been really conscious on being strength-based and positive, but there was a point where I had to shine a light on, like, it sucks out there.
Absolutely. And as you said, you're coming from a pretty specific demographic as a man, as a white man, as a able-bodied person. The sort of experiences that you've had, like the discrimination, are a specific type of way in terms of not even being compounded by those other factors.
Yeah.
So yes, it's very important to be like, I'm like having a sucky time. Imagine what it's like for other people, which is what you're doing. So how do we steer people away from the celebration, which is great, but as you say, it's like you're not actually asking necessarily to be celebrated. You're looking for tangible actions to make the world better. Yeah. How do we encourage people to understand the job isn't just celebration, it's actually like active allyship, which is uncomfortable. The conversation's ongoing, the problem's ongoing, so therefore it is an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, Saraid, because it's like, and it's like, it's a nice chance to put the story straight. But I came out, I chose to speak publicly in the interview to shine a spotlight on homophobia in sport and this hypermasculine environments that don't allow men to show up as they are and feel like they belong. Let's just try and make a stance on that. I didn't do this for me. Like I'm straight presenting. I've got a beautiful woman as a partner, and I've been out in my own little bubble and community for years now. So, I didn't do it for a lot of people say, congratulations, you must feel better now, Mitch. It's like, well, yeah, there's been some byproducts, pardon the pun, by this from the reaction. But like it wasn't like I'm not doing this for me. I'm like doing this so we can have these conversations so people feel seen that may have not been seen before. And, I guess, this word trailblazer and you're one yourself with your football, and it's like I don't see myself as a trailblazer, but with trailblazing, it's like, well,
as a collective,
as a collective, you have to keep continuing as much as it is awkward at times, and people find it confronting, and it's this sense of a burden, if you like. When Gil McLaughlin said that, it was about the first person being a burden. I kind of disagree with him, but I kind of get it a little bit. Like there's a bit of hardship in this. It's not an easy road for me, or it won't be for a current player or the next player. But that's the point of trailblazing, is to do the hard thing, so it can be safer in the future for the next people or out there. And we see that in the AFLW competition and the young players that are getting drafted in now. It's I imagine having an amazing, so much better time than the inaugural season players. And so that's the whole point. And, I've had people within the queer community. It's just like any demographic, within the Aboriginal world that I work really closely with. It's like a lot of the hate or comes from within the community, or like the same with the queer community. I've been challenged a lot. Especially around this notion of continuing to talk and to bring up and highlight, even if it's the most casual act of homophobia, to stamp that out. I've had a lot of people from the queer community go, well, Mitch, why you keep doing this? It's like, it's not really homophobic, or, what you are doing by speaking every time, you are bringing more hate on the community, and that's triggering for us. And I agree, I acknowledge that. But I want to be really careful and caring, and know that may be a cause of standing up, but I'm not going to shut up, because I think that if we have that philosophy of let's just stay quiet and we can be safe in our own little communities and they won't bug us, it's never going to get better. It's always going to rear its ugly head, which it always does. And we see that, as we think things are getting better in the AFL men's program, another incident happens, whether it's in the crowd or on the field, of homophobia or racism or whatever. And, that's my mission at the moment, is just to keep talking and I guess be that custodian in this role, I guess, whilst people are listening, because there'll be a day when people won't listen. But until that day, I hope I can make it a bit safer for the next person that they will listen to. And that's what I see my role is at the moment, for sure.
So we spoke about attention. You've been receiving a lot of attention, and sort of some of the commentary is you've got lots of attention. What more do you want? Surely you've had enough. You've had your fill. And the nuance of that not always being positive. There is a part of that's quite a burden. Yeah. How do we find ways to splash that attention a little bit more around, or essentially to not necessarily have it just completely fall on your shoulders all the time? Yeah. How do we bring more people into the conversation? Ones who are already, some of them who are already having it, others who haven't yet had the opportunity to, or not yet comfortable. What are the ways do you think we do that?
Yeah, it's well, I'll firstly speak to the load. I guess I've had a lot of, and it's been I mean, there's this like notion that I've grappled with is like a burden and a gift. And I've had people stop me in the street and pull me aside and in the office and have like just spill everything about themselves, and thousands of messages, direct messages from strangers feeling that there's a safe place. They see a safe place in me, even if I don't read it, which I've read them all, that they can share everything and everything they're going through, their challenges, things about themselves and their sexuality, more often than not, that they can't share with anyone else in the world. And to have, to read that, and I guess if you're lucky enough to read that, which I think I do, I'm so grateful, you can't not sit there and take that on and connect with that human even if you don't know them. So there's been this toll for sure, because I'm so grateful of the support that I've had around me. Get told every day of how brave or whatever you are, and, people, just so much support from organisations to individuals to whatever. And I know these people don't have that. and it sucks. And I'm just like, I'm so in this privileged position. My coming out story is great. I'm supported, but more often than not, when in particular young people come out, their experience is not like this. And I do. And I really came to this epiphany the other day. It's like, what other ways? Because I'm like, can I share this love? Can I share this support?
Yeah.
Can I help bring others in to what I'm going through and the support and love that I'm getting, so I can share it? But I can't do that because so how do I do that? And someone reframed it for me the other day and was like, well, it's what you're doing right now. It's this interview, Saraid, like it's continuing to share a story in a way that people can continue to relate to, feel seen, feel that they know you and know your story because it's what they're going through. And that's how you share the love. That's how you share the energy and bring others that this is for in. So that really like reframing of that just helped me. Like, there's been so many times where I'm like, oh, maybe I should listen to these people that tell me to shut up. Maybe I should do that. And I was like, nah, this is the way I can do it. And, in terms of like, I like, how do I bring others in to help, and allies and other organizations to care? I genuinely feel that I don't feel like, there's been times where I felt alone, but I don't feel like I am alone anymore because, I feel like I've made this, I guess, this stance or this statement to speak publicly about my sexuality, which means X, Y, and Z. And I've stepped up to so many other advocates and, people that have been challenging and fighting and for safe spaces for all people for so long. And, right at the start, I didn't get that. But as people revealed themselves and wrapped around me and explained to me and helped me learn on this journey too, I feel like I've got like this huge, I guess, movement that I've now joined. Not only the queer community, because that's a bloody awesome community, but just this movement of people that just want to create environments so everyone can show up as who they are. As long as they're respectful, show up as who you are and know that you can belong. So I think for me and others, like if I can keep continuing to talk and bring others in and, I've been really conscious of shining a light on other organizations, not taking the limelight or the messaging away and saying to people, I am the expert on safety and inclusivity. I'm absolutely not. Like there's, some incredible people out there like Rana Hussein and, others out there, organisations, Minus 18, Queer Town, Pride to Play, Pride Cup, that, Jason Ball, like they've been doing this for years and fighting and I'm learning from them as we go. Like I'm so grateful that I get to listen to them. And the question I do ask is like, can I call you or text you? And I want to keep learning. I want to keep learning on, whilst people are listening, I want to know that I'm saying the right messages that are, safe and caring for people that are, not that I'm scared of saying the wrong thing, but, there are so many things, and we've spoken about it already around headlines and, misrepresentation that can be so harmful for people that we don't even know that they are harmful for. And so, just having that awareness for me and, bringing others in on this journey, like my partner Lou, people forget that, obviously I get to do these talks and it's my name, I guess, but like this has been a thing that Lou and I decided to do together. We decided to text Sam from the Daily Aus together, and Lou's been here on every part of the journey. And, even the notion around my bisexuality, and I am in a straight relationship. So people have like tried to bring down our relationship, and Lou in particular around, he's just gay, he doesn't like, he's sleeping around with men. And so it's like, this is on us. And, Lou's been amazing in terms of supporting me, but we support each other in this journey. And that's a powerful message in itself that we could speak for hours. So because bisexuality is, for a lot of people, that it is the biggest portion of the queer community, but it's in terms of the wider community, it's so misunderstood, and people just don't understand it, and they're just so black and white in their thinking. So it's crazy. It's like, and again, to go to the question about this toll, this low, like I'm working full time, looking after co-parenting with two little kids. They're amazing. But like Lou and I'm coming out, like there's this whole, like I've got things to work about my own self and my personal journey.
Yeah, you're doing it publicly.
And if it's not publicly, this is a big moment in my life, being able to come out to my friends and family and even just deal with the relationships, the nuances and the awkwardness for some. And it's like I'm dealing that on my own personal level with Lou and everything, but then showing up for this public messaging. So there's a lot at the moment, and I'm aware of looking after myself and ourselves in our relationship and things like that. But it is a lot. So yeah, it's crazy.
So many layers.
It's a crazy time. Yeah, there's so many layers, and I'm still exploring them. And this has been a wonderful conversation as well, because honestly, it's like you're not like you're a therapist, but I'm sure you could be one. Like, you're amazing, but
definitely not.
It helps me just articulate and make sense of things too, as well. So each thing, and that's been such a gift of being strategic on who I speak to, is because like I learn from each one of these things. I learn from you. I learn from the things that I'm saying, and you help me reframe things and articulate things, and so. And this helps that load, to be honest. Like it obviously, this interview and the stuff that we spoke about will help others, but it's helping me too. So and it helps that kind of balance with the load of the personal and the public life.
Yeah, all the fun, complex stuff.
Yeah.
What I find so much, like what I just love, is the fact that through your work, it does provide an opportunity to shine light, as you say, and I know you were doing, organisations and people who have been doing the work for a long time, but because there's often, when we talk marginalisation and like minorities, not always visible, you being able to almost bring these conversations to the mainstream while still giving like appropriate credit to people who don't necessarily get it when they deserve it. Like that's revolution in itself. There's a whole conversation of like first bisexual AFL male player. That's huge because it hasn't happened before, and it's not that that doesn't exist, but people who have been putting in so many works in communities, the advocates and the activists, the one you sort of through your story, I'm trying not to rustle for Patty, our producer and editor, because I'm such a shuffler. Can you hear this? When I ask a question, I'm like trying to string one coherent sentence together.
I'm a whacker.
Yeah. I'm like this. Patty, good luck with this. It just is, that is what I find so awesome. And when people talk about attention that you're getting, it's that you are such a selfless person, such a selfless, articulate, empathetic person to be receiving that attention, to then have the awareness to think, gosh, I'm getting a lot of attention. How do I find ways to try and spread it around? And then to be able to reframe and just be really pragmatic about it. Like that, we talk layers. Like there's just so much going on in these kind of conversations.
So, you know, this is the thing, right? Like, and I've learnt this and I've been told this, that I have this unique position of like the way I present, the way I show up, the history that I've had being a men's player and professional. And like, I don't know how to explain this properly, but I'm going to explain this.
We'll try.
I'm going to explain this the best way, and I don't want this to be offensive or anything by means. I'm like really palatable. And I don't mean that in like in a sense that other people might take that.
No, it's not bragging. It's just stating a fact.
Yeah.
With the way our society is currently set up.
Yeah. Like you know, I don't know what people were thinking with this first person, this queer player to come out, but a lot of men in particular stereotype gay people, gay men as something else, and
very specific, very narrow minded in terms of what that image is. And
I'm just I may present a lot different to that. Like I could be quite masculine and I feel quite comfortable walking down the street. I feel comfortable going into a construction site and having these conversations about sexuality where a lot of other people may not. So
you also move through the word in quite a big form.
Yeah.
Like there's safety in that as well.
No, there is,
to a
100%.
certain extent. Yeah.
So what I've been finding is because of this palatability, which I don't know even if that's a word. But
I'm not sure, but it makes sense.
Because I'm so palatable, I guess, and safer for, I guess, people that are maybe confronted by queerness. What has been happening is I've been allowed to come into rooms and conversations where these amazing organisations, other queer advocates, other queer people may have not been able to go before because of that fear of being associated with queerness or having this stereotype, or they're just going to be an angry queer person at me, let's not let them in the room. So I have this responsibility and I keep grounding myself on this. If I get invited into a room or a conversation with the AFL or a business, I ensure that I bring in these other organisations as well. I'm like, hey, hey, Hayley Conway at Pride Cup, like I've got this, amazing meeting with this, this person within the footy industry. Would you like to come with me? Or like, let's, what should I say that can help Pride Cup, or like bring others in there? And I feel that there's been some real advantage in that, and I'll continue to do that because it's been so effective. And, I'm not the expert and I don't want to be, and I don't want to claim like I know everything. So, I'll continue to do that. And, I've met some amazing, and I will have such amazing relationships and friends with some of these people that I've met over the last 2 months because they're awesome and I admire them. And, I've spoken about this a lot, that I had no queer role models or very little. My only one was Daniel Kowalski, the Olympic swimmer. I had none, but now I've been invited, instead of coming out, I've been invited into this amazing queer community, and I have so many amazing role models now. It's crazy, and I love it. And it's, when I said that it hasn't been about me, well, this kind of stuff of making friendships and relationships and having amazing queer role models and people in general, that's been such an amazing thing for me as a person. So, I'm grateful and we talk about the load and, keeping up this conversation and keep moving forward and doing the hard thing and being a trailblazer, if you like these relationships, the people around me make it a lot easier than what it would have been.
How long has it been, Mitch? When did you come out? I should know that as the interviewer.
August 28. So
August 28.
I did the interview on August 27. August 28 came out and
went bang.
It's coming up to 2 months, if I'm right.
Wild.
3 months.
It's coming up to 3 months. Three very
speaks volumes.
Packed months. That's wild. Wow. And you just so many media commitments, so much work you've been putting in. What is next for you? Do you know? Coming to Christmas time?
No,
do we get a holiday?
Yeah, so my two boys are just really pumped for Christmas. No, this is a really important question for me, and I'm still answering it myself.
Yeah,
it's one of the questions I asked myself or asked for advice on day one on August 28th. I had a phone call from Sam Mostyn, the Governor General of Australia.
Wow.
She's
just
amazing.
Just
I know,
casually.
It was out of the blue.
That's very casual.
That's when I was like, oh my God, okay,
really?
there's something here.
Something's happening.
And I asked Sam, I was like, hey, can I ask you one question? She's like, sure, you have one question.
Only one,
like the genie,
Mitch.
you have 3
Only
questions.
one.
One question. And I was like, hey, what do I do now? Like, what do I do next? And, Sam's an amazing person. She's an amazing advocate in a lot of areas. And she said, just don't stop. Keep inviting people in and keep showing up, keep talking and, create a safe place for that next person whenever that person's or if that person feels comfortable doing it. So, I mean, for me, I've kept asking myself, and it's really about allowing people to show up as themselves. You don't know whether you're queer or not. Safety inclusivity means that, you can be yourself, be happy, be confident in that, show up and feel like you belong in your workplace or your school or your team, and you're celebrated for that. That's what I'll be advocating for. And I do. I love when, organisations or people reach out to me because, like I said before, it's like I love bringing others in on it. I love learning. I do want to be able to speak to people that it really does matter to and learn from them, more importantly. There's been so many amazing invitations from organisations that I've just come along and learnt. I didn't have to speak. It hasn't been about me. And I've learnt from so many wonderful people. And I do want to keep doing that because, we tend to talk about so much negativity in the world and that, but we also need to shine a spotlight on the people that are doing good in the community and have been doing it for a long time and, talking and uplifting those people.
Amplifying.
So, amplifying. And that's one of my big mandates for the next whatever is to get around to those people and help, I guess, if I have a platform, if I do help them, amplify that, as you said, and, I really invite people to reach out and, more so about me learning from them than me helping them. So, that's what's next for me. I kind of like been in this mentality, Lou and I, as a partnership, as a relationship of just riding the wave on this, being president. President,
you heard it here first. That's our breaking news.
I want to be prime minister.
We talked about clicks. Headline.
It's being present, and it's never, it's really hard for us nowadays to do that and be grounded, but like we have to do that on a daily occurrence for us because, things are popping up out of the blue and we are dealing with it. And I think staying present and being there for our 2 boys is paramount as co-parents. And, at the end of the day, if I'm summing it all up, knowing what to do next or making decisions or knowing what to say, all I have to do is come back to, it's about my 2 boys and the world that they are going to grow up in and the world that I want them to grow up in and the world that they can help shape for themselves and for others. So I just keep coming back to that. And, so far so good. It's put me on a good path. But yeah, I want to be a role model for them first and foremost, and yeah, keep each day as it comes.
I think that's a pretty special way to end this interview. Mitch Brown, thank you so much. This has been Perceived Pressure.
Thanks for having me on.